this is Sally with Rainy Day Gypsy. Thanks for coming by my channel today. I wanted to show you my latest creation, which is one of my favorites I've ever done, actually. And I think that is because of the subject matter. This is about Henry David Thoreau, who's one of my all-time faves. I got to know him in college, got to know about him in college, you know, when we're all kind of thinking we know everything. And what we're trying to figure out the world we live in and that sort of thing. So this is kind of full of his quotes that I love, and it's very dirty and distressed, and it looks old, like it belonged to him. I made the cover out of those green hanging file folders, and then I put this old fabric here that I had tea-dyed and things, and put rivets here. And I got this idea from Jean Oliver over at Jean Oliver Designs. And then I beeswaxed the outside and the inside cover. And I found this little pencil. Well, actually, I've had it for years, never done anything with it, and I thought this is the perfect thing. So I put that in there. And then I found a little Tim Holtz medal that has a Thoreau quote on it, which is pretty cool. It says, "What lies before us and what lies behind us are small matters compared to what lies within us." Doesn't that sound like a college kid? Okay, so I tied it with tea-dyed jute. Like I say, everything is very, very distressed, so get ready. Inside, like I say, I covered it in beeswax, so you can see that it's kind of crusty there. This is a picture of Henry David Thoreau. His birth date was 1817, and he died in 1862. And just some trivia as we go through. His given name was David Henry Thoreau, but he went by Henry David. I believe he had an uncle named David Thoreau, so he switched it to Henry David. And here's a little compass. Everything, like I say, is pretty distressed. A little rock that I put in there. Another quote: "The question is not what you look at, but what you see." And you can see I've distressed everything. This is some paper I made. A little Edith Holden bird. He loved nature, and as you know, he went out to Walden Pond. He was very good friends with Ralph Waldo Emerson and Nathaniel Hawthorne and Louisa May Alcott. So he had quite a little group of philosophical thinking poets and writers. And Emerson had some property out at Walden Pond. They lived in Concord, Massachusetts, and just 2 miles away was Walden Pond. And he allowed Henry David Thoreau to go out and build a little cabin there, which he did. And he stayed there for 2 years, 2 months, and 2 days. And I thought he was, you know, in my mind back in the day, I figured he was, out meditating and writing and walking and discovering nature. And he did a lot of that. But in my research, I realized that he walked into town the 2 miles practically every day to visit friends. So he wasn't all that secluded. Here in this little postcard pocket, I have what is from an old pharmacist. And it's talks about chemicals and things. I got this at an online auction. And it's, I got several things from this old pharmacist that I've used in here. So that's that. This I really love because it was tea-dyed and it turned kind of green with what I had in the tea dye mixture. Here's an old letter. So anyway, Evidently Thoreau was quite a social little guy. People called him an odd duck. That's how they described him. Kind of a weirdo, which, you know, I'm glad he was, because he taught us a whole lot of things. Anyway, kind of a cool guy, I think. Maybe kind of a hippie in his day. I don't know. I would rather sit on a pumpkin and have it all to myself than be crowded on a velvet cushion. And this little thing came from, I think from a Tim Holtz pack. This is an eco die that I did years and years ago, and I took a photocopy of it. I drew a little leafy pattern here, like Thoreau probably would have done. Here's an envelope I got off online addressed to Henry Thoreau in Concord, Massachusetts. And inside then I made a little notepad that I can write my little quotes and little poetry and things that I love. And I used that rusting powder that you can use to rust some things, including this one. So tea dye and coffee and rusting powder throughout here. These papers are pretty delicate, actually. Here's a little butterfly. Rather than love, than money, than fame, give me truth. Thoreau. Some little birds. Gosh, I could have pulled that off the graphics fairy. More paper. This is an embossing file folder thing. Tim Holtz. And you can write underneath. But this I thought was perfect in here, and of course I tea-dyed it. But it's the ring of a tree. Thought that was perfect for Thoreau's journal. This I sketched on one of our camping trip. It's a pine cone. I thought that would go well in here. Handmade paper here that I threw little pieces of flowers in. This is a digital that I'll list below. I'm not sure off the top of my head where I got that, but I'll list all the digis that I downloaded here. And Thoreau was a surveyor by trade. He went to Harvard. Did I tell you that already? And he was a land surveyor, and evidently he was very good at it. He had a really good reputation. So that is kind of like a little ad that he had that I got off online. A little flower here. This world is but a canvas to our imagination. And here I've resketched one of his little feathers that he did. But you know, this is kind of cool for all us journalers too. This world is but a canvas to our imagination. Isn't that the truth? This one, I love this page. I think it's because of how it tea-dyed or something, and I love just the poet. Heaven is under our feet as well as over our heads. And I assume that means because he loved nature and the earth and everything. This is a downloadable from the Graphics Fairy. This is a chart of how to measure wings and things on a bird. This I got this technique from Annalie Erickson, and it's watercolor paper, and then you use like tea and different watercolors and soak it. You know, it's really pretty. I love those colors. Then I sketched some little birds. Actually, I traced these. I'm not a very good sketcher. And kind of like he would have done. And then there's little writing spaces. This is another digi I'll list. And this paper I used in here, I think it was a homemade thing I did. And it feels almost like leather. This is a rubber stamp. There's the back side of that cool watercolor paper. Another Edith Holden, a little song thrush. supposedly there's a bird's nest and some eggs in the Smithsonian that Walden collected. I don't know how the eggs are doing, but anyway, that's the story. This is a leaf that I've had in my flower press for ages, and I covered it with a tea bag. Makes it look really old. And this is a little maple leaf from our tree in our yard, and put some old icky paper and stuff there. A little flip out. And I did some tags. I didn't think tags would be the exact thing I'd want to do in a lot of different little pockets and things in this one, because I don't think Henry would have done that. But I did do a collage, and then I made some tags and I put them in this little envelope. So those are kind of cute and kind of nature-ish. And this is a hidden paper clip, and I got this technique from Patricia over at La Cafe Craft. So you might check that out. And I put a little pocket there. Be not simply good, be good for something. Which I thought is kind of cute. That sounds like something my dad would have said. And this is a technique that I got from Ann Kenlin. She's going to be on a podcast coming up. Who's up next? And she takes a leaf, or in this case I took a little sprig from a juniper, and she paints it, and then she flips it over and prints it onto the paper. This is a Tim Holtz from his little packets, you know. Old book pages that are really crispy. This I reproduced and just glued it on, just traced from a thing. Here's more from that chemist, or that, what do you call them, pharmacist. Some recipes. And a color chart, the graphics fairy. And here's, I reproduced his little fish drawing with "Time is but the stream I go a-fishing in" by Thoreau. And this is what he said about going to the woods. "I went to the woods because I wished to live deliberately, to front only the essential facts of life, and see if I could not learn what it had to teach, and not, when I came to die, discover that I had not lived." Here's a little thing I believe I got from the graphics fairy. It's a list of land birds. I'm sure he saw lots of neat wildlife out there on Walden Pond. This is a pretty one that turned out in my tea dye, kind of green. It's just a ledger page, but it's pretty. It's another Digi download. And here's another little thing from the chemist, the Larkspur lotion, and I thought perhaps Henry would have made that out there in at the pond. And another little tag and a little bug thing. Lots of space to write in this one, which I love, because I love to write. "Not until we are lost do we begin to understand ourselves." There's a stamp. This technique I learned from Annalie Erickson also. She does the little watercolor things. It was fun. And this is a Tim Holtz. This is my favorite quote. Go confidently in the direction of your dreams. Live the life you have imagined." I love that. And then this little pack at the back. I wanted you to see this too. I thought, isn't that pretty? That's like where he would live. This is a little packet that I made, and it's got little flowers that I've pressed in my flower press through the years. This one happens to be Scarlet Gilia. And I also waxed these, and if you hold them up to the light, you can actually see through them. Looks like little roses, daisy. Ooh, I'm not sure about these two, but they're really waxy. They're really fun. I like them. I had fun making these. And so I thought those were appropriate for this journal. And that is it. Like I say, I'm pleased with it. I love it. I think it's just my style. I really like this. And I wanted to tell you too that David Henry Thoreau, or Henry David Thoreau, we call him, he died at age 44, and his friend Louisa May Alcott asked him when he was on his deathbed, "Have you made peace with God?" And he said, I did not know that we ever quarreled." Anyway, there it is. There's your little lesson on Henry David Thoreau and my new journal. I hope you enjoy it. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. Bye-bye.